We're live. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. We're having a bit of a crisis. Not crisis, but Sasha was stuck in traffic, and I think she's still stuck in traffic, so she might be here in a bit. And then Sasha and I are the only ones to finish book 2, but Kira's only 30 pages away from finishing. So she's good, mostly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, we're not the only ones doing it last minute. Hello. Managed to finish the book on time. Kudos.
To be fair, I'm quite proud of myself for how much I managed to read, considering I hadn't even finished the first book like last week.
That's true.
That's really amazing.
But yeah, I mean, working 40 hours a week and everything, and doing stuff in the apartment, there's just not a lot of time. So I'm not mad at myself, honestly.
Don't worry. Hello, Larissa.
Hello.
Started yesterday. Damn. You're like Sasha. She started yesterday and she just already finished. And she was like, "Yeah, I woke up at 4." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. I mean, it's
hello.
It's pretty easy to read. I think it's because basically I started this morning at like page 20, I think, of book 2. And like I have about 200 left now, and like I said, I had to do stuff as well, so it's not like I spend like all day just reading. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's very fast. It's like basically since you start, it's like just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Hello there. Good afternoon. How are we settled? My room's a mess because I was filming and there's books everywhere. It's a mess. And yeah, FMK, those poor empty shelves.
I know. But I have like the 3 new shelves set up at my new apartment, and these ones will be moved here to the new apartment this week, so I can just start building them again. But it's so sad. Like I said, there's like I have 2 books here because those ones arrived after I'd moved the books to the apartment. Like I literally have 2 books here. It's so empty.
So I'm assuming you're gonna have some extra space.
Oh yeah, I'm going from like I have like 3 wide billies and then 1 narrow one here, and I'm going up to like 6.5.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, like technically, because I have another narrow one there and like a wide but short one over there, so technically it would be like 7.5, I guess. But I'm using those 2 for different stuff, so just 6.5 for purely for books.
Damn.
That's really exciting.
I think this is going to be like the first time in years, in like 10 years, that I'm actually going to have like leftover space on my shelves.
I was gonna ask, can you already fill it out or not yet?
I mean, to be fair, knowing me, it's going to be filled up in like a year or something, but we'll see.
Cross that bridge when we come to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's so nice. I think that's what's nice about having your own space. You know, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Disliking like the void of black behind me, though.
It does look a little like you're in the cave or something.
I mean, I'm not. I'm just sitting in my bedroom, but
her cave has shelves.
Yes.
Yeah. So like it's not like a man cave. It's like the book cave or something.
The woman cave.
That could be a sign. You should get that as a sign to put outside your library, wherever you put it.
Yeah, but like to be fair, first thing for the library is basically just getting up the shelves and moving the books, and then the rest is going to come because the chair that I'm sitting in doesn't fit through the door until the bookshelves have moved out, because my door can't open all the way because I put a bookshelf behind it. So, you know, first world problems and all, but that's okay. I'm just going to quickly turn on like the overhead light.
No worries. Hi, Elizabeth. Tafty hitting us with quotes. I think we got it, so that's okay. Today I have on my telly box, rather than being sat outside, and I have a ginger biscuit blonde chocolate bar. That sounds amazing. But Inspired by the champ of the biscuit tin, the humble yet mighty ginger biscuit. This bar melts the spicy warmth of ginger with caramel-like blonde chocolate and crispy balls of dark chocolate. Damn, do you write like food reviews or something? That was very compelling.
Yes.
I was like, now I want a cookie. Femke's shelf reassembled my soul. Empty.
Kind of like the shelves represent my black heart, basically.
Oh god, I love seeing all that shelf space. It is like possibilities, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I just remember how many books were on there, and like I needed 3 separate trips up and down because I didn't have enough boxes.
Your parents must be like, good riddance. All the space we now have that's not covered by books.
Yeah, they keep talking about like, yeah, when you move out, we're going to do this and this, and I'm like, so nice of you. I feel so loved.
Oh, so
No, but it's okay. I mean, I'm happy to have my own space again, and it's already it's starting to look and feel more and more like my own space because like when we got there and when I accepted it, I was like, what the fuck? Like there's so much that needed to be done. And like right now we're coming to the point where it's like we're nearly finished. So just
yeah, that's nice. Wait, sorry, I'm just texting Sasha. She's still stuck in traffic. She still hasn't moved. It's been an hour or like an hour.
That's terrible.
I'll ask if she can join from her phone if she's bored. Okay, let's make this comment needs a sound effect. Na 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 Bookman, which I think is very funny. Hello, Hannon. I could fit an extra wider bookshelf into my library if I was willing to block the door too.
I mean, the door's not entirely blocked. It just can't move, like it can't open all the way. Which is fine for most stuff, but this is like one of the big IKEA chairs. Like you can't see it because it's too dark. Wait, let me.
I mean, who needs to leave like though if you have books?
Yeah.
I mean, like if I turn the brightness up, like you can see it's like one of the big chairs. Like you can't see me like that, so no, that's where I was at. But yeah, it's like it's too wide to fit through the door if it can't open all the way. Might also be a hassle to move it down the stairs, but you know, we'll see about that when we get to it.
Fair enough.
Because we also have to move these ones down the stairs without taking them apart because I nailed the back to the shelves like everywhere.
Yeah. I was thinking that for mine, and when I move, I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I can't disassemble it. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know we moved one of these types downstairs before, so it fits in like the space in the stairs. But we moved out like the shelves that aren't stuck. So these ones are. Wait a second. Yeah, these ones are like the frame, and then these ones are like loose. At least in the front, because I nailed mine to the back panel, so you can't take them out now without murdering your bookcase, essentially.
Oh.
So we're going to have to be careful about, you know, where we're taking a hold of the bookcase.
Fair enough.
It's going to be fine. We're going to just take an afternoon to move 3 bookcases downstairs. It's going to be fine.
And how are you going to move it to a new apartment? Like with a car? Or?
My neighbor has like, what do you call that in English? Like the little carts you can put behind your car.
Oh, okay.
Trailer?
Yeah, just small trailer. It's just an open, like little open trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So we put them in there and then we drive there and then we move them to the right space immediately. So.
Fair enough.
Very, very happy with our neighbor's trailer.
I bet. I got an extra shelf for my bookcases so I could cram an extra level into each of them. Damn, that's tight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want to sacrifice aesthetics, so mine are like, some of them are, like facing and that kind of stuff. So I just kind of ran out of space anyway. I'm like, oops. So now
Yeah,
all the lower and upper shelves are like mess, and then the pretty ones that are in the video, if I sometimes film there.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have like, covers facing outward and everything. And then I had too many, so I just lined them up next to each other. And then I had too many, so I started stacking them up. And then I had too many, and then I started working in like double rows. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became a mess because it wasn't ordered alphabetically anymore. And then I couldn't find stuff, and I was like, oh no.
That's fair. All right, should we start talking about the book?
Probably.
So I thought maybe firstly we can just have a little like short recap of what you guys thought of book one, because FemK wasn't there last month because you were in Costa Rica having glorious time, and Kira wasn't quite finished. So yeah, like what did you think? What you gave it? Like what were highlights, kind of stuff?
I loved it. I gave it a 5 stars, hands down. I thought it was amazing. I like how it feels like Brandon Sanderson, but not quite Brandon Sanderson. Like it's almost like this, like this. I mean, it is. It's totally like different thing, but like it has Brandon Sanderson vibes, kind of. And I like it's. We have like a lot of characters, but like the characters are very simplistic. Like as far as like there's not so many of them that you're more worried about who's who, like than keeping track of who's who than you are like trying to enjoy the story. So I really appreciated that because The Faithful and the Fallen was I enjoyed it, but I feel like having to keep track of so many characters took away a little bit from that storyline for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I get that, because I think Faithful and the Fallen is also a lot more high fantasy than this is. In the sense of like all the like the history and the lore. And I mean there's history and lore in this too, but it's just more focused on one thing, I guess. And with Faithful and the Fallen, it's you have like the giants and you have the humans and you have all the different things. And here it's basically just like the, how do you pronounce it? The Hierophants?
Yeah.
If I'm pronouncing that way off, just please tell me, because I have no idea. But
I mean, it sounds right to me.
Okay, yeah, like that's what my brain made of it. But like it's more focused on just like the one thing basically, which I think makes it easier. But yeah, I loved it too. I gave it, well, I haven't given it any stars yet on Goodreads, but I'm going to give it 5 stars. And I just love how quickly the book like progressed. Like you drop in right in the action, and it basically doesn't let up. But at the same time, I don't think it feels overwhelming, because you get like enough history and backstory and perspective and everything to make everything make sense, without you feeling like you're just flopping about wondering what the hell is going on.
Wow, so I think this is the first book we well, did we all like Malice? I don't remember if we all gave it 5 stars, but it fell apart as we went. Hopefully we'll like all of them. Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars as well, and so did Sasha, I think. So that's really cool. And like I guess I'll start, and I can talk what I thought about this sequel, and then you guys can let me know where you are as well. So I love this one just as much. I gave it 5 stars, and I think everything you guys said is right. Like it's you dropped into action right away, and it's like doesn't really let up, and things just happen like so quickly, but like really it's so exciting, and you still care about the characters a lot. And I think it's just written super addictively, which makes it like really easy to read. Yeah, I just like love that we have like only like one I think that's what with Faithful and the Fallen, there's a little too many perspectives at some point, whereas this one is just like you kind of have Sansia, and you do have other people, but it's like very sparse, and it's kind of in third person as well. So I think it just works a little bit better. And I like that you actually get to hear from the villain as well, like even his perspective, which kind of like puts you in that frame of mind. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars, and I really had a good time, and I cannot wait for book 2. And I like how like first story felt really small, And then this one felt like bigger and stakes are way bigger. And I feel like already with the setup for the third book, you're like, fuck, it's gonna be like the whole world basically at stake, I mean. So I think it's very good in that sense. But yeah, would love to hear what you think so far. I mean, Kira, you're almost done, so you probably have a good opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm curious to see what people in the comments as well thought.
So I really think it's just as good as the first one. I think it really adds on to it. I always like worry like that the second book's going to be like a transition book like into the action of the third book, and I didn't get that from this, which I really appreciated. You know, like it didn't feel like it was just a filler book to work us into the action of the third book, because it did that, but like but it also like offered like a lot more storyline, a lot more substance. So I'm probably going to end up giving this one 5 stars too. I'm pretty sure. So
nice.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm liking it a little bit less than the first one, and I just saw Ewald's comment about wanting more clay or clef, whatever you want to pronounce it. I think that might actually be like the banter might be what I'm missing, because so far I hadn't really been able to put my finger on it, because like I like the world building, I love how we get to see from Crusaders, I think, like the villain guy from his perspective, and also love that it opened with another heist, and love seeing Sansia and Berenice's relationship. But I'm just like, I really think it's just like this sort of banter that I'm missing, just a little bit of lightheartedness. So like it's not like I'm disliking the book at all, don't get me wrong, because it's like 4.5 stars, but it just a little bit less than Foundry side so far. But I mean, that could change, because I'm guessing I'm going to come into like the really high stakes part of the book right about now with 200 pages left. So I'm hoping to finish tonight, but that's just what I'm feeling right now. So nothing that I'm actively disliking or anything, but just slightly missing something compared to the first book. But definitely not like middle book syndrome or whatever, or like you said, like just a build up to the third book, because I feel like it's like expanding, but it's still like its own story, basically.
Yeah. I would agree. I think I agree in the sense that like this book is less like banter and fun. So for me, like Clef was my favorite part of this book, but who I kept thinking like I want to hear more from this is Orso.
Yeah.
Because I have a soft spot for like a genius old man with a soft spot for the protagonist or whatever. So I just felt like we barely heard from him, and I think that was because I don't know if you got there yet, but when can we say spoilers, I guess?
Yeah, I'm fine with spoilers.
Okay, so I don't know, you might have already got in there, I don't remember, but when they twinned Bernice and Sansia?
I'm right at that part, actually.
Right, yeah.
About to twin them.
Yes, so they twinned them, and I feel like that kind of made it like very Sansia Bernice show, because they could communicate in their head without Valeria hearing them. So they couldn't really say things out loud. So like Orso is like, and Gregor to an extent too, they were like very removed and they felt very like afterthought. Whereas I feel like Orso's like very funny, and like their relationship dynamic really worked for me. Because like Clef, I understand why we didn't get him as much, because it was like a plot thing that we couldn't have him the whole time and we were trying to get him back. So although I missed him, I wasn't like mad about it. But Orso, I was like, I want more from him, and especially like, I'm not gonna say it, but at the end, I was really mad, because I was like, well, I feel like we've not gotten enough of Orso, because like what's gonna happen.
I think I know what happens, because like I have like this feeling of sinking doom, like in a pit of my stomach. But
yeah. Oh no, I think you're frozen. Oh no, there you are. Yeah, I think you're right. What you're thinking is probably right. So I was like, where's Orso? Bloody hell, he was so much more in the first book. So I feel like this book has, where this tangent started, was this book has less like banter, but more stakes and more like world building, maybe, because it's like
I get. And I mean, I wouldn't have wanted the book to become lighthearted in that sense, but just a little bit of more banter to like offset like the
I
heavy
agree.
tones, I guess, because I feel like in the first book the stakes were also pretty high, but you got like these super random comments from like Clay, Clef. Does anyone know what it is? Is it Clay or is it Clef?
We've been saying both. Sasha thought it was Clay because of French, and then we thought it was Clef. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I was thinking Clay as well because of French, because it's literally the word for key in French, but I don't know. Whatever. But just these random interjections, you know, that just made everything just a little bit easier to stomach, I guess. Not that it was hard to stomach, but just I don't know how to explain it well.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and I do feel like it could have done with a bit of more of that. So I feel like I was like really, really like enjoying it, but like being a bit miffy to like maybe halfway, and then you get hit like the lore and all of that, and then you're like, wow, oh my god, like so much happening, so you kind of forget that there's not as much banter. But I know what you mean. Don't know, what do you think, Kira? Did you feel that at all?
Yeah, I definitely like. I mean, Clef was one of my favorite characters. Like during the first book, like I loved that, and the fact that he reminded me so much of Nightblood, you know, from Warbreaker, Brandon Sanderson, because there was like, you know, like the sentient object. But I definitely missed his voice, like in his banter, like with Sancha, yeah. I don't know. It was just sad because, you know, the ending
like
of
the ending of the
first
first book when stuff happened with Clef, it had me crying. I was like,
Yeah.
no, not the key, like crying for well, not really an inanimate object, but like for just an object, like no.
Yeah. Well,
So
yes.
sad.
Yeah, well, I sent you a crying picture of me from this book, and that was something that happened with Orso, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
But we've not. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced, but we'll see. What
I
it
mean,
was.
I guess like my only critique of the of Shorefall is like that they probably could have done like more like banter between Bernice and Sancha to fill
or
up the
like
void.
between Sansia and Orfo or so. What's he called?
Orso.
Because that's also, I feel like Orso also had like these random outbursts in the first book and a lot less in the second, and that might just be like character development, because obviously 3 years have passed since the first book. But at the same time, I mean, the man's like what, 60 or something, because I picture him as like
I think so.
Like that. I think he's at least like somewhat older.
At least
and
50,
I don't think his character would change that much in like the 3 years. So
yeah. No, that's why I missed him, because I was like, okay, Clef's not there for banter. Orso's right there, but you're not using him.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Bernice and Sansia, what's interesting is like when we left them in the first book, they were just like, oh, let's go for a drink. And now we're 3 years later, so they're kind of in an established relationship. So it's kind of like a weird jump between like just getting to know each other and then being in like a 3 year, just like they live together, you know, it's like quite a serious long-term established relationship. Which I do think like they like worked really well together, and it was beautiful where the bits where they were twinned and how they looked at that. But I do think like maybe I didn't feel the chemistry that much because I didn't see them fall in love. I kind of saw them before and after, which I guess some people don't mind. I just like, I'm not really reading this book for the romance. I'm reading it for everything else. So I'm not that bothered, but maybe seeing a bit of that falling in love would have been nice.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Well, should we, because there's kind of a couple comments still is, maybe go through them and then we can resume. No middle book syndrome, like its own thing, but with enough build up for the next one. 100%. Even in this book, I feel like it was like one plot and then another plot because we have to keep accomplishing goals, but we keep fucking up, so it keeps getting worse and worse. Felt like a snowball, you know, when it like goes and it gets bigger. And you're like, fuck. Oop. 5 stars for me. No, 4 stars for me. It felt like a more complicated read than the first book. The foes are bigger, badder, and more dangerous to know.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
I feel like the tone changed slightly from Foundry side, but it wasn't terrible, just the tone wasn't as evenly matched as the first. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess that's also because of like the stakes, because the first one, it was basically just about a key. I mean, that's what it started as and all that. And now this one is about the maker of said key and all these weird things, who is thousands of years old, is just suddenly here. So it's just become a lot broader, I think, and more serious.
Yes. Which is funny because I feel like it's not a critique, but it's like the villain was way more like talkative and banterous than you would expect, and like even Sansia like talked about it. She's like, I wasn't expecting him to talk this much, so it's not wasn't like an oversight. But I feel like I was like expecting him to be just brooding, like super quiet, doesn't say anything person. And he's
Yeah,
just
like I have to admit, like what I read so far of him doesn't really have me like intimidated in that sense. I'm like,
yeah.
are you going to talk everyone to? I mean, he did squish everyone up in a ball into a ball inside the mountain, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I do feel like I was worried that would happen too, but by the end I was kind of like he's also he's crazy showing.
yeah.
So it kind of like is okay because he's a bit unhinged.
Yeah, but, like I felt the scene where he made the what is it? I have no idea how to pronounce these names because it's a name in Dutch as well. But like, Mike, not Michael, but like the weird spell. We call it Michiel, like the house, the founder's house.
Ah, yeah, no.
So he made the guy cut his own thumb off. Like that is like, okay, this guy is not to be messed with. But then he starts talking about all this shit, and I'm like, I mean, we know you've toppled civilizations. We know.
Yeah. I feel like when you get to the big reveal at the end, maybe it makes a bit more sense. So I wonder if that was on purpose, and I wonder if I understand correctly. And I think maybe we can try to talk about it a bit later because it's a big part. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe that kind of maybe it was a little bit on purpose. With F, I think this is about Clef because audiobooks and his name is Clevian or something like that. So Clef, I think. I adored Clef from Foundry Side and missed him in Shorefall. Yes. But he's back, baby. So, don't know if that's a spoiler. He's back. So we'll see him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was expecting it because of, the whole twinning Sansia and Berenice thing.
Yeah.
Or at least hoping, I guess.
Yeah. This is interesting. In 3 years, Sansia went from Black Widow to Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. I kind of get what this person's like, what he's saying a little bit. What do you think?
I haven't watched or read Howl's Moving Castle, so I honestly have no idea.
She's more like clumsy and kind of happenstance rather than like purpose and badass fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, and also she gets. Oh, I think I understand what this means. So Sophie in Howl's Moving Castle gets like cursed by a witch to be old, and she kind of like is a young woman in like an old woman's body, and her age like changes a lot. So I think maybe that's what's the connection is, because Sansia later we find out like, well, she keeps talking all the time about how she's getting old and how old she feels. I'm like, aren't you like 20 years old?
Yeah, I was like, we had like this scene where she's in front of the mirror and like gray hairs and everything, and I was like, wait, weren't you like 20 something or 19 or whatever in the first book? Like, how many years passed?
Yeah, so it's all on purpose and it's all like gonna be revealed. So
oh yeah, but it's the woman thing in the box, right? At least that's my suspicion because of like the augmentations that she did. And it's probably like leeching her energy whenever she's using her juju.
Spot on. That's it.
I mean,
yeah, I think honestly his personality lended itself to the comedic buffer in the first book, if that makes sense. So without him, it was good, but just I don't know, it wasn't as heartwarming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that we're all like, well, we're here for the talking key, and you've not really given us who you are.
Yeah.
I confess I didn't get that reference, but Black Widow Sansa in Foundry Side was super double awesome. Which was. She's getting old, man.
Oh, right.
Last movie is a young woman who gets turned old for magic. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like Sansa. But sorry, I have no clue what this means. Sansa encounter with Crusaders on the galleon was very CT Hulu.
Yeah.
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Okay, sorry. What's Cthulhu?
That's like a sea monster, right?
Yeah, I think it's like I know H.P. Lovecraft used that entity a lot, like in black magic and stuff. And it's got like that. It's like that thing that you see, like that has like the little squid, and he's got like little squid arms and stuff, and he's like very bent on destruction.
I've seen images of this.
Yes.
Crusaders feels like a callback to classic anime comic book James Bond villains with all the monologue.
Yeah, he really likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah,
he does.
I don't know, like it's great because I kind of like got like from Shorefall that he kept trying to get Sancha to join him, and it's like you had all these opportunities like to just like stop her from sabotaging you, and you just keep letting her slip through her fingers because you keep giving her all these chances. And that does sound like a James Bond villain, because that's how James Bond survives,
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, he was a bit like, well, I don't want it. I want to be your friend, actually. Let's do this together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I do feel like he's kind of like all the more scary for it, because he like feels so justified in what he's trying to do. And I mean, I do kind of see where he's coming from, like so far. I mean, I don't think I know his grand plan and everything yet, but like so far, like he makes sense. Like people just keep innovating, and then we keep using those innovations to do bad stuff. Like y'all should just stop doing bad stuff, because we don't like bad stuff. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about this with you guys because I was so like intrigued reading the book, because like honestly, I find his logic compelling. Like it's like when I was younger, I was joking that I want to be a dictator because I want to be like super liberal and make everyone be nice to each other and like eliminate, like all the bad stuff in the world. And like obviously that's bad in itself because you're taking away people's free will. But if people do shitty things with their free will and abuse other people, it's almost like it's okay. And like obviously like there's conversation around it not being okay. But I was like, his like whole argument is so kind of compelling. Like you said, it's kind of like he's got a point though.
I mean, he makes sense, but the problem is like his means.
Yes.
Like the end, I get it, but just like the means, kind of iffy here. That's like probably not the way to go.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what it's very interesting about Gregor's mother as well, because like obviously she joined Crusaders, and you're like, well, you must be a shitty person then, but actually, well, no, she was sold on the end on the mission, but she wasn't quite aware of what he's willing to do to get there. And then once she sees that, like that kind of like the shatters fall off, and she's like, fuck, this is not what I wanted. So it's very interesting. I feel like it's like he monologues like James Bond, but actually he's very complex as a character. So very like intricate. Intricate. Sorry, I just saw this and that's like, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, people suck. Let's make them be nice. But let's not murder all of them in the process.
Not all of them.
Not all of them,
just some of them.
Yeah, you know when he was cutting off that finger of that guy, and I was like, I don't feel bad for him. I think this is fine. I think this.
Like I don't feel bad for him, but I just kind of have had like the visceral reaction at the description of how the knife was just like going through the bone and everything, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't think I would have the conviction to carry it out. As like, I'd be like, oh, stop! I can't look at it anymore. But like, I understand the spirit. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think, Kira, of like the motivation, the villain?
So I can understand. I think like that, like makes like a lot of sense because, people like are destroying themselves, like, like and competing, like they're using like the sigils to do it. And it's just, like, and I mean that obviously hasn't gotten them like very far because like all this time like later they're still warring each other. So I get the meaning behind it. His methods aren't great, but I get the meaning behind it.
I love how we're just saying about the guy who has committed genocide multiple times over, like his methods aren't great. I'm sorry.
But it's like so interesting because his methods aren't great, but he's lived for such a long time. He must have seen this play out like thousands of times. So do we think there's a time where he tried to be like more benevolent and coax them and be nice about it, and that kept not working? He was like, well, fuck you then, I'm gonna like mess everything up with genocide, I'm gonna make it happen.
I mean, I definitely think that's like a process because like at first you want to coax people into being nice, I guess. And then at some point it's like, yeah, well, fuck all. If you're not going to cooperate, I'm just going to make you cooperate. I mean, I guess I can kind of see that process happening.
Yeah. And I think it's so not interesting in this book that the main villain is obviously Mercedes. And then Valeria or whatever, she's not good either. So it's like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So like Sansa keeps not trusting her because like obviously she's sus as hell. But like kind of they have no other choice. And it's super interesting. And like I think I see what their big solution is going to be, but I'm sure I'm going to be surprised. But it's like they want to like basically they think twinning is so amazing because you're sharing experiences with everyone. And they're kind of like, if we twin everyone in the world, we're all going to be one mass organism. So we're all going to be kind to each other because we all know each other's experiences. But to me, that's fucked because that's like taking other people's free will in a sense as well and your sense of identity. So it's like, is it saying that there's no way to be peaceful when we're individuals? So only through like this communion of being one kind of like mass brain can we ever be peaceful? And I think that's quite interesting.
I mean, we already read about this in Aurora Rising.
Yeah.
Did not work out great.
That's true. I just feel like that's where the book wants us to think we're going. So maybe that's not where we're gonna go in the end. But like especially towards the end, they're kind of like, we need to do this. This is the solution to everything. I'm like, is it? Yeah. Interesting. It's very like well thought out, I think, this like book, and very like complex. All right, let me get back to the comments. They went from fighting over a key to battling a god almost in the second book. The odds were stacked against our merry band of heroes.
I mean, kind of. This is a pretty apt summary.
Yeah. Yes. There's more complexity to the challenges that our characters are facing, but I thoroughly enjoyed them engineering their way out of mad shit. Yeah, I like how there's always like a logical way they get out of challenges and things that happen. It's never like, oh, well, this happened, so cavalry arrived and saved all of us. It's like way more intricate and thought out.
I love how Sansia basically copied Clef in his methods, like with the doors, like, but does opening outward count as opening? And then the doors are confused, like, wait, what?
I love that because she wasn't like, oh, I need to I need to like over engineer this. She's like, I have a solution that works, I'm gonna use it.
I mean, right?
Fact. But as mentioned earlier, I adore a good heist, and they had several such adventures in Shorefall. They did. There was heisting. I really like the sequence where Bernice needs to, well, it's not happening yet, but Bernice basically needs to be the one to like break into places, and like she doesn't have any experience, so it's kind of funny because it was like we've seen Sansa be badass, so it wouldn't be that like impactful because she's done it before, I guess. Sorry, how do you say this?
Cthulhu.
I think, yeah.
Full. Gets beaten by a boat, though, in its one actual appearance. It's like Ursula from Little Mermaid. I like the villain in the black bowler hat from Meet the Robinsons, or the evil scientist in Phineas and Ferb. Yes, that kind of is the vibe. Oh yes, what is his name? That for Phineas and Ferb, you know the.
In Dutch, it's Dr. Dovenspmerch, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure it's the same in other languages.
I think it's similar. It's funny. I want to take away free will to save the world.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay, but if he sacrificed all the rich people in Tavern instead of the slaves, I would have been more on his side. I guess he kind of does it later.
I mean, I guess he didn't sacrifice the slaves. I think that was, what's her name? Ophelia?
Yes.
Because she took the slaves to make time weird, and then he did his shit because he thought it, like, that piece of reality thought it was midnight, but I don't think he killed those. I do agree with him, though. You should have gotten the rich people, but...
Yeah, I think he was like, he could still talk to her, so he was probably giving her instructions, but no.
But I'm guessing he just said, like, get me 100 people, and he didn't specify, get me 100 slaves or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Because he had no problem killing, like, the people in the mountain. Squishing them into a ball.
Yeah.
That's so grim.
Yeah. I feel so bad for the mountain, though. I'm sorry. Like, I have a thing for inanimate objects now.
Same.
Like,
I love
it fulfilling its purpose and then getting destroyed. I'm like, no.
I agree. I was really bummed. I was like, damn it, I love the mountain. It was such a good character in book one.
Yeah, also just talking to her then, like, well, you're not him, but you have his blood, so whatever. I'm just going to help you anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't have cut a finger though, some other appendage may.
Yep.
Beings with godlike powers that don't do nothing and don't lay down their plans on the forefront are not to be trusted. I think this is regarding Valeria, and I agree. Like politicians seeking power, people not to be trusted. Indeed. The programming logic of the sigils really appealed to the way my brain pathways are wired, so arguing with the door logic was just gold to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could never argue my way out of that kind of stuff, but it was interesting.
Yeah, and also with, like, yeah, but you have to be touched by a person with this blood. Yeah, but how long ago does it count as touching?
Feels like every time they, like a Sphinx riddle, they have to solve it when they want to do something.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, yeah.
And I love how they basically just solve it through confusing the objects.
It's like, good point. I don't know. Yeah. It's like I convinced them that a second was not actually a second. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
The mountain was adorable, wanting Crusaders to stay forever and not getting blown up by his desires, and then getting blown up by his desires. I know. It was like, well, I guess I'll destroy myself if he's gone. So sad. The mountain, either a giant building that wants to fulfill his purpose, or a brick house of a man that burns his brother and smashes baby skulls. Weird dichotomy. Yeah. Yes. Sasha did leave us with a comment on her feelings. I guess I'll read that. She gave it 5 stars and was shocked by the last revelation with Clef and the other dude, Crusaders, whatever the spelling. Did you get there yet, Kira? Where are you in the book?
I think I just got to the revelation you're talking about who Cleft is in comparison to Crusaders.
Cool.
Was it his brother?
Close.
His lover.
No, further.
Oh. His son? Father?
His father, yes. So yeah, so basically Sansa thinks it's his son, but turns out Clef is actually the father, and he's actually the first chiropractor. No, I don't know how you say it.
Hierophant?
Yes, chiropractor. I was thinking of chiropractor, you know, the people that like.
I mean, the first chiropractor.
Yeah, the first chiropractor. Yeah, so turns out. Oh, okay. So turns out Clef is the first. Oh fuck, my computer's dying. He's the first whatever. And then Crusadis his son. And this is where my confusion starts. Because so we see the kid dying, like in a vision, we see there's a child, and then there's like there's an adult, and the adult is the Clef, and the child is child is Crusadis. So I don't know if it's trying to be like when he was a child, he was turned into this thing that's not quite alive, but you know, it doesn't have a proper body, but needs to be like bound and that kind of stuff. Because that's kind of the vibe I got. Kira, like that's what Sansa almost said.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, that's what I said. I feel like maybe Crusadis makes sense because of his essentially kind of like a child mind trapped in this state and then lived for 4,000 years but never really like got out of the child mindset, then maybe that's why he's so like chatty and kind of like wants Sansa to be his friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no clue whether that was what he was going for or not.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, you know, if Clef like started out as a child and he's matured, you know, like maybe like a little bit. I mean, he'll probably like never like really grow out of like that childlike state.
Mm. Yeah, that was quite an interesting plot. I also didn't really see it coming. As in, like, I thought he was gonna be the son, like Sansa did, because that was where the clues were pointing. And I was like, damn, what? So, like, what does this even mean? So it's like kind of Clef is almost like the OG antagonist because he made all of these things that we thought Crusadis did. It's actually Clef who did them. And like, when did he become a key? I'm like super curious to keep reading and like learn all of these things. Yeah, because there's like so much left to uncover. Thank you. Just say priest basically means the same thing. Yeah, well, I learned last live show that it means priest, and I was like mind blown. And then I forgot it. Like rules and regulations, there are always exceptions and edge cases to bend their meaning to the other ends. So defying programming logic is about loopholes, which rather appeals to me. Fair enough. See, you're smart. The first whatever, so he's the one who founded the United States of whatever. Sorry, I don't know what reference this is. Fair enough. Sansa should try scolding him so he will go, sorry, mommy. I mean, he did say Papa when he was dying. He was like, Papa! And I was like, oh my God, you're a child. Could it be a form of manipulation, though, do you think? Form of manipulation. What do you mean by it, I guess?
I think this was in reference to like the revelation of Clef being the father and Crusadis being the child.
Oh, do you mean you don't think it's true? I think it is true. It would make... I don't know.
At the same time, I would wonder because Sansa saw Clef in the memories where he was like inside the machine thingy. Wouldn't she have recognized Clef as being the father? I'm just wondering. I'm not saying she would have, because probably after being stuck in a key for thousands of years, you're going to look a little bit different. But just
I don't know, because like for some of the times she sees them in the visions, they have like things covering their face, I think. So
right.
at one point they do unwrap it, and then she does see the face, but then I don't remember her saying anything about whether it looked like Clef or not, so I don't know. But no, that's a good point. Or maybe like that was like his mental, like he looked different because I guess he lived so many lives. I don't know if he was like changing his
Oh yeah,
appearance.
maybe. But I was just wondering, like,
Yeah, no, that's true. But yes, the relationship between Crusaders and Clef. It could be. I mean, he was like trying not to die, so Clef really is the key to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like so funny because like I guess I should have seen that he's so important, but you see Clef in the beginning, you're like, he's our buddy, he's a fun like plot device, and then he's like this all important god basically to these people. It's like quite interesting. I'm really delighted that you'll all be continuing with the trilogy by the sound of things. This has been truly a fantastic series.
Yeah.
Discovery. Yes, 100%.
yeah. Then it also makes me wonder, by the way, about like Clef and Crusaders and everything. Like Clef was like the first Hierophant who discovered all these things. What if Crusaders was like one of his constructs that kind of like broke free, I guess, and turned on his master?
Maybe.
I mean, that'd be kind of like interesting foreshadowing for Valeria.
Yeah, I mean that's the parallel I was like thinking about.
Well, that's interesting because now I'm thinking, did Clef make Valeria? Valeria? I don't know. Because she keeps talking about the Maker, and she does keep talk about Crusaders when she's talking about the Maker. But she does say she doesn't have really much memory of the beginning. But then, because we find out that Clef and Crusaders ran away because they were slaves, and they ran away, and then we see Clef unearth the box that already has Valeria. She already exists, so he must have made her, if he is in fact the adult in the situation, because the boy was a kid. He was like super sick as well, so just watch Valeria being the sister, mother, or daughter of Crusaders or something. Yeah, maybe she's not artificial at all.
Could be that Clef actually made like Valeria into like one of his first or into a construct, and then he did the same to Crusaders, but then Crusaders turned on Clef and made Clef into like the key.
Yeah, it could be like it was his son, but he somehow also like kind of how Clef was made into a key. His like soul could have been put into something else as well, so be kind of like a construct, but not really.
Guessing we're just going to have to read the third book.
Yes. I might have rated Shorefall slightly lower than Foundry Side for the reasons discussed earlier, but I am loving the series so far. I think safe to say, so are we.
Yeah.
I feel like sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say it's quite a good one to discuss as well because there's like so much to talk about.
Yeah, like for me, just because I'm just not quite enjoying Shorefall as much as Foundry Side, I mean, doesn't mean that I don't like reading it, because I'm having a great time, but it's just like compared to Foundry Side, I'm just liking it a little bit less.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's fair. I think I still loved Foundry Side slightly more, but I found this one slightly more interesting because of all the lore, and I love like things that happened thousands of years ago coming back to bite you in the ass.
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean the rating, like right now it's like 4.5, but could definitely be up to a 5 by the time I finish it. But like right now, I'm just
fair enough.
Enjoying it slightly less.
If it ends up being the manipulation cycle, Sansa should chuck them all in the ocean at the end. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Do you think this world will retain scribing, or do you think it's gonna end with scribing being gone?
I mean, I want to think the world would be better off without scribing, I think. Unless like scribing and like access to it would be evenly distributed, I guess. Because I mean I think the problem is in the unfair distribution of access to scribing, basically, that allows some people to have a lot more influence than others. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I see scribing as kind of just technology. Like any technology can be misused, and probably in the beginning, like only the rich will have access to it. Um, so I'm curious whether this will be one of those like, oh, actually scribing's like actually is gone, and then this was our world like 100 years ago, and now it's like our world with no magic in it kind of thing, which I feel like some books do. Like, oh, it was Earth all along, but just like we lost the magic or something like that. I don't know, because I feel like it's so, like you said, it would have to be distributed evenly, but I feel like that's what they were trying to do in the beginning of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like criticized as not feasible. So maybe once they become one mind, it can be done.
Yeah, that's like what I said. I think the world might be better off without it, because then like the power would be hopefully be distributed more evenly. But I guess it would work as well if like access to scribing would be distributed evenly. But again, that's kind of like the issue that the entire book, like uneven distribution of what do you call it, like resources.
What do you think, Kira?
So as far as like the resources go, I'm really kind of concerned about like what like is going to happen like with like if scribing does kind of like disappear, because that's their technology, and of course like all these people are going to die. It's really bad. But at the same time, like they've been using it like, you know, like what they were discussing, like kind of wrongly, I guess. Like not like, you know, to benefit each other. Now, as far as like the technology goes, I think that they're right. They're going to be stuck back in the Stone Age without it. I think it's going to hurt all of them to have that done. I think Valeria could potentially. I would be curious to see like what kind of twists and turns like they would be for her in this, because I think she's like a very interesting, still very mysterious character. Like we've only like really kind of scratched the surface of her, and I don't know like if they're going to delve more into her, or if like we're kind of like reaching the end of her story arc in this. But I kind of foresee like that she may have a really big spot like in the third book.
Yeah. I mean, we've not even touched. Wait, you didn't get there yet. You'll see. This is not the end for Valeria. I'm not gonna say anything more. Like you'll be surprised, but I think she's gonna be the big bad of book 3.
Fully expecting that, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah, and I think the thing that happened at the end was very interesting, and it's gonna bring a lot of turmoil. So I'm curious to see. Like, so looking forward to book 3. I won't start it now. As Tafty says, burn it all down, which is scribing, and open source it all seemed to be what the Foundry Siders were attempting. It was, but their plans were cut short. Ah, yes, the true enemy of the book's late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
Isn't that the enemy of us all? It definitely lends itself to a good setup for Valeria to come forward and take the place of Bowler Hatguy. Yes, she will. I think it's actually more interesting because I think Valeria is definitely going to be the big bad. So I'm just curious where Crusaders fits in all of this, and the third book, whether he's going to be like a villain or not a villain. Will he see sense? Will Clef be like, oh yes, you are my son. I am the father. Because he was like, I ain't the father. This is bullshit.
This is no child of mine.
He was like, I think not. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys wanted to like touch upon?
I think so. I think that if with Valeria, if she does end up being like the big bad like in the third book, she's held. See, Mercedes, like, I mean, I think really like was the lesser of the two, because he just wanted to control everybody to make them do good things. Valeria wants to not only murder a bunch of people, knowing that she's going to be murdering a bunch of people, but she also like wants to take everything away, like everything like that makes this world, kind of like a unique, like revolutionized like world. And I think like that actually really raises the stakes for the third book, because because she just wants to destroy like everything that has been built on this society.
So she's kind of like Thanos.
Yep.
Except 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a very interesting. I am not the baby daddy, Cliff.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Don't know who or what that is, but ain't no
ain't no child of mine. Oh man. Yes. I don't know, guys, if there's anything you guys in the comments wanted to say. Just wanted to say this was such a great talk, and thank you everyone for commenting, because like you added so much to our discussion. Sad Sasha couldn't make it. I think she's literally still in traffic.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for her.
That's awful.
I know.
To be fair, like I know the city she lives in, and it's always awful with traffic, and especially if like something happens, it's even worse.
Oh gosh. I'm hoping she had a nice book with her, so at least she was like doing something nice.
I'm pretty sure she has like script, so she has like access to audiobooks wherever she is, so
okay. Script has her. We can't help her from here. I mostly made jokes though. No, that was
jokes. they were jokes, but they also added like insight, so
yes. And we learned that you need the jokes to bring a full experience. Like you need jokes and
I mean, you're just our personal Clef. In like the good parts, not the this ain't no child of mine parts, just Clef as we know him in the first book.
Yes. Man, oh my god, I just remembered something. I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna be a nice surprise for you. But the reason why he calls her kid, I was like, it was great, because I didn't think anything of it, and they were like, bam. Let's see. I feel like I sound insane, but I swear it makes sense. You were the clef to our comments. We needed that. Yes.
Very much so.
Yes. So we'll be reading the third book, which I actually don't know what it's called. Does anyone know?
Locklands.
Locklands. Well, we're gonna be reading Locklands.
We're such great hosts. We don't even know the name of the book we're going to be reading.
No, I was like thinking in my head, I need to request it from the library, but then I was like, I don't know what it's called, so I need to look into that. Yes, but we're gonna be reading it through November, and the live show's on the 27th, so you know when to start. I mean, some of you apparently can start the day before and finish, so respect.
And some of us tried but don't quite manage it.
No, but to be fair, FMK, you like caught up with book 1 and like made a very good progress into book 2, which I think is very impressive. So.
I'm hoping to finish it tonight, because if Sasha's home on time, she should be sprinting, like hosting sprints for Patreon at 7, which is like in 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Wow. I apparently can't read clocks anymore. 50 minutes. So I'm hoping to be able to finish it tonight. But not if my mom keeps telling me to do stuff again.
Sorry?
Not if my mom keeps telling me to do stuff again.
Just be like, Mom, I'm moving out. Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, someone's going to be starting on the 25th. Good luck to you. But I believe in you. Well, we're going to have reading sprints as well. I don't think we quite agreed on the date, but there will be probably either 2 weeks or the week before. So you guys come along, and then we can read it all together like we did last time. Actually, that was really good for me because I would have not finished. Like I would have procrastinated starting it. But when we had the sprints, I actually started it. So that was very good.
I think we discussed having the actual like last book discussion like though on November 27th.
Yes, so November 27th, the discussion.
Yes.
And the live show, the sprints will be either 13th or 20th. So once we check with Sasha, we can confirm. And Tafty is gonna leave us because he is a purist and will only read it once he has the paperback, and that's not really till June 8th, 2023. What? Are you sure you don't want to pick up an ebook and read it with us? This was so much fun.
Or from the library, maybe, if you have access to that.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna miss your insight. But I know he's very serious about this too, so.
Oh, I get it. I do get that.
Yeah.
But still, so sad if he's not going to be joining us.
Well, I hope you change your mind. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. So now if there's any closing remarks any of us wanted to. My copies must match. Just match it later. Just read it now. It's fine. It's fine. You're gonna forget everything.
Yeah, like that's the only reason I don't even have physical copies of these books, because I want the UK hardbacks, but the first one's out of print and it costs a fortune. And I kind of don't want to pay that, but at the same time I hate the the other way around. It's the UK.
Yeah, I was gonna say you hate you like the UK because I have
the black ones, the US covers, but the first one's out of print or something, and it's so expensive. So
honestly, look at this atrocity. I mean, this was not that bad, but the first one is like green. It's so gross.
Yeah.
And it's also so big, but it's very floppy, so I'm not complaining. It's from the library. Yeah. But look how
that's very floppy for a UK
and
UK
it's
paperback.
Huge. It's like this is a normal paperback.
Wow.
It's huge. I don't know why it's so big.
Yeah, like based on those attributes, I'd say that's a US copy, to be honest. But apparently it's not. But
I know, because like I was about to buy it when I went to US for a trip. I wanted to buy it, but they didn't have book 3, and I was like, well, I'll just have 2 books and then never have the third one, because when will I be in the US again? So I didn't. But that one was like normal sized and not this floppy. I don't remember actually how floppy it was.
That looks a lot like my Faithful and the Fallen paperbacks for the size.
Yeah, those were not floppy for me at all. I had to break the spine.
I still think it's funny though that the title of I think the third book, the second or third, like Valor, that it's just spelled differently on the cover as well, because of like UK US spelling. That's the first time I ever noticed something like that.
Yeah, that was weird. I remember thinking like, am I misspelling it? Is everyone else misspelling it? What's happening?
Yeah.
Also this comment, I am not a purist, I'm a filthy heathen in all things. I respect that and I thank you for it, because this is why I must wait to get the correct size of the paperback to match my existing pair. Is yours huge like this, or is it like normal size? I got this from the library, so I don't even know. I wonder what the third one looks like. The US covers are so pretty. I'm so jealous, Kira. It's so nice.
Yeah, US hardback still not available. I was hoping for a second, and then it says Italian edition, and I'm like, probably not a good idea.
Tafty's got normal size, so my library just might have a weird one. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have like, because I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right, are we gonna finish up then?
Probably.
Thank you so much, everyone. Again, it was so much fun talking to y'all. Thank you for contributing so much, and thank you to Kira and Femke for being on my channel talking about this. We'll see you sometime in November for reading sprints, and 27th for the live show discussion. So read the book. like a week before or something. Yeah, thank you. Are we waving?
Bye.
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 The Queen's wave.